the ratings getting to that point again? Because I know at that point it was unheard of for really any show to get, ratings quite like that, especially professional wrestling. Do you see it getting to that point with, WWE pulling in those kind of ratings again? Or do you think television-wise they're pretty going to stay kind of steady where they're at currently?
No, never. There's never going to be. If you actually look at Monday Night Raw, they've actually gone down every week. They continue to drop, and I want to say they're like in their twos maybe, and I think at one point they even hit as low as 1.94. The product is just not the same. Fan base is just not the same. They're just, even without the competition, it's still tough.
Yeah, and I hope, independent-wise, Ring of Honor and now New Japan is starting to gain popularity over here. Do you see either of those ever being a competitor that Vince McMahon has to take notice and up his game a little bit, or is he still can just sit there and comfortable where he's at?
Ring of Honor is a shell of what it used to be. Obviously, WWE went in there and raided all the talent, and they took all the guys that they wanted. And even guys you're seeing guys on NXT and stuff right now, like Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, Adam Cole. You're seeing all these guys from Ring of Honor that were mainstays of Ring of Honor are all signing with NXT. So they've been kind of rated talent-wise. As far as New Japan goes, New Japan could actually give WWE a little bit of a run. They just had the main event of Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho. They drew 44,000 people at the Tokyo Dome. 44,000 people without comps, that's pretty legit, because even WrestleMania doesn't sell 44,000 tickets anymore. They may have 70,000 in attendance or 60,000 in attendance, but probably half of those tickets are comps. And they're actually working a deal with Mark Cuban right now, who owns Access Network, and he's big on Bellator right now for Bellator fighting, and he's also big on New Japan. So I think they might give Vince a little bit of a run. So
yeah, when WCW started really hitting a stride, it seemed like it took a while for Vince McMahon to realize his old school comic book type characters, and you have your characters that seem to have a day job, like they're a race car driver, and then they come and wrestle. It seemed to take Vince a while to kind of get away from that and react to WCW's popularity. Do you think it's going to take him that same slowness to react if New Japan does take off over here before he starts reacting to it?
No, I think some competition would be healthy for WWE, but I don't think you're ever going to see Vince bend and break because of what a competitor's doing. Because even in WWE's heyday of the Monday Night Wars, he still wasn't using wrestling as the main point. I mean, it was still using silly vignettes. You had the Big Boss Man, cooking Al Snow's dog, and feeding it to him. You still had Kane. You still had Undertaker. You still had characters. WCW didn't really have characters. They were more of a wrestling-based company, and they were trying to do the sports entertainment thing. So, yeah, I don't see Vince actually changing because of someone else. Vince refuses to watch any other wrestling. He always has. He always will. He refuses to think that any other wrestling is different. And he actually hates the word wrestling, which is why he changed the name to World Wrestling Entertainment, because he is a sports entertainment company. He's trying to make people realize that it's not a sport per se, it's sports entertainment. So New Japan still carries the whole, it's still wrestling.
Yeah. So McMahon, before we jump to Raw 25 and Royal Rumble, McMahon recently is forming a new venture, which rumors of the possible reformation of the XFL have been circulated. It's kind of died down since. But what are your thoughts on McMahon's latest entertainment venture and possibly bringing back the XFL? Do you think he should just stick to focusing on WWE, or could it be a blessing in disguise that maybe, guys like Triple H might start getting a little bit more of a say in what's going on?
I don't think Vince McMahon needs to get into any other role except for WWE, because XFL failed. Before that, the World Bodybuilding Federation failed. I don't see. He was spurred by seeing what the UFC sold for, and he's actually positioning himself that in case someone comes along and offers that kind of money, would sell the WWE. And in that case, guys like Triple H and Stephanie are out of the job. But I think he should stick to what he knows, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that, too. He should definitely stick to what he knows. As he said, those ventures have failed. But I've also heard rumors that, the Carolina Panthers on the shopping block, there could be an avenue to try to get into the NFL as well, which I don't really see happening either. But, I guess you never know. That would be definitely a head-scratcher. But, the past several years we saw WWE's development change from, I think it was, Ohio Valley Wrestling to now you have NXT down in Florida. What are your thoughts on just the NXT brand, the way it's just exploded, and why do you think it's been so successful with wrestling fans, so popular?
So I'll go back in history. So WWE's first developmental territory was actually Heartland Wrestling Association, HWA. Heartland Wrestling Alliance. And then also Les Thatcher's school was serving as a developmental territory, with also Harley Race's school with World League Wrestling. After they kind of disattached themselves from them, Ohio Valley opened with Jim Cornette, and everybody remembers the class of wrestlers that Jim Cornette and Danny Davis produced, which was Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Shelton Benjamin, Randy Orton, Batista. That was like their first graduating class of OVW. And then actually I was in OVW doing job matches for WWE in 05 and 06. And then Deep South Wrestling was going on in Georgia. The former Georgia Championship Wrestling had become Deep South. And then they merged and became Florida Championship Wrestling. And then Florida Championship Wrestling, once Steve Kern left, became NXT. I think NXT is amazing. I think what they're doing, it's the only product that I actually watch. I actually don't watch Monday Night Raw, but I do tune in to see NXT. I do like what they're doing. It's got kind of an old school ECW feel with the way that fans react to it. So I'm really impressed with what Triple H has done with them. I don't really like the little guys, the guys that are 5'6" and 130 pounds, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. So, I agree with you. Triple H has done a great job with NXT. It's unfortunate that a lot of the NXT guys and ladies, when they move over onto Raw, it always seems like it takes a while for them to gain any traction. And, I know it's not Triple H is doing, obviously. It's probably more of Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn doing, especially the guys that came over from, it seems like the guys that came over from TNA or Ring of Honor, they tend to wait a little bit before they decide to give them their opportunity, which, again, I don't know if that's Vince McMahon's ego, just like I didn't develop you, so I'm not going to, push you right away. Is it kind of that ego trip that he has sometimes, that it's not his guys, that he they kind of wait a little bit before they start getting pushed properly?
I don't think it's an ego trip. I think they go to NXT to learn the WWE style of wrestling. The New York WWE style of wrestling is different than the indie style of wrestling. When you watch a match with John Cena, how many moves does John Cena actually do? If you take away punches, kicks, and chops, he's only got like 3 or 4 moves that he actually does. Same thing with Randy Orton. 5
moves of doom, they always joke about with Cena.
Yep. But you know what? That's the style of wrestling that WWE's always had. And when you got guys at NXT, they're trying to put on 5-star matches. They're going through a ton of different moves. It's kind of a learning curve. That's the reason why they go to NXT for as long as they do, is just to understand the style of wrestling that WWE has.
Yeah, because I just, I kind of ask that question because I see, like, for example, Bailey, and you have Sami Zayn, who incredible performers down in NXT, and it's like now creative in WWE doesn't really know what to do with them. Now they finally found something for Sami Zayn, preparing him with Kevin Owens and going down that angle. It always seems like they lack which direction to push them in. So I guess that's kind of more what I was kind of getting at a little bit. I don't know if you, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but it seems like character-wise, they don't really know what to do with their character sometimes.
There's too many guys. There's too many guys that on the main roster. It's just they can split it all they want with SmackDown and everything like that. But the smartest thing for them to do would just keep guys in NXT and call it a third brand, because there's just too many guys for them to give stories to. And I mean, look at WrestleMania. You have a guy like Dolph Ziggler headlining, or being a main player, who's now, last year I think he was in the Battle Royal, which was in the pre-show. Dean Ambrose last year was in the pre-show against Baron Corbin. The year before it was against Brock Lesnar in one of the main matches. The New Day, who is one of the top tag teams in probably the last decade, was hosting the Raw pre-show, or the WrestleMania pre-show. They didn't even get a match on WrestleMania. So, I mean, you can't fit everybody in, and everyone, some guys got to take a back seat. And unfortunately, yes, Sami Zayn was a great wrestler. El Generico, when he did the gimmick in Ring of Honor, yes, he had 5-star matches. Him and Kevin Owens tore the house down several times. But sooner or later, I mean, these guys are cookie cutter. I mean, what's big about Sami Zayn? What's his character? It's nothing. It's a guy that, comes out to punk rock music and slam dances a little bit on his way to the ring. I mean, yes, now he's doing the thing with Kevin Owens, but look at one of the most talented wrestlers in the WWE is Cesaro. And for the longest time, Cesaro was buried because WWE just did not know what to do with him.
Yeah, it is, for Cesaro, I've been a fan of his, and, I've been, I shave my head, so I don't have any hair to pull out, but, if I had hair, I'll be pulling it out with, with them not really, not figuring out what to do with him, because he's a great competitor, he's great in the ring, and, his character's grown a little bit, like just the personality that he has on the mic and all that. And I'm glad that now they're finally starting to find something to do with him. And I guess who knows how long that's going to last with him and Sheamus, because, they might decide to break those two up. Who knows? Who knows what their direction is. But, with Raw 25 coming up, coming up Monday, 25th anniversary of Raw, broadcasting both in the Manhattan Center in New York City and then the Barclays Center, pulling out all the stops with a lot of the Attitude Era performers. Undertaker's going to be there. Austin. What is your thought on just what you've heard about the Raw 25 show so far?
Oh man, it's a tough one, brother. I don't really pay attention to the product. I know that sounds weird, but I always tell people Michael Jordan on his days off didn't watch another basketball team. So for me to be an independent wrestler, and I'm not really a fan of like today's Raw. I kind of lost touch with it after CM Punk was doing like the pipe bomb stuff. As far as Raw 25, I'm sure it's going to be a great show. I heard Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, has been asked to come back. I heard X-Pac's going to be there. It's great. I'll probably watch it just because I like watching a lot of the old guys come back. But it's kind of funny. Like, every time that WWE has to, bump ratings, who do they go to? They don't go to the younger talent. There's really no true next generation. When you look at some of the guys that are on top right now, let's look at AJ Styles, 40 years old. Okay? Let's look at Brock Lesnar, who's a draw for them. He's 40 years old. They had to bring Bill Goldberg back for ratings. Bill Goldberg's in his 50s. John Cena is 40 years old almost. If not 40, I'm not sure. Randy Orton is nearing 40 years old. The Undertaker is old. Bobby Roode is 40 years old, and he's just starting to make waves in WWE on the main roster. For God's sake, he was a 40-year-old NXT champion. NXT is supposed to be there like